you want the tea on why I switched from eXp to Real, and here it goes. Last week, I did a podcast where I share with you everything you need to do if you are considering switching brokers in 2025. And in that podcast, I shared that after being with eXp Realty for 6 years, friend, I was there since 2018 as a baby realtor, and my team and I just completed our transition and we are fully at Real Broker. And because I'm your real life real estate bestie, right? One thing that we don't do around here is we do not gatekeep. We share the real, haha, pun intended. So I'm just gonna share with you just openly and honestly why after all these years, after having success, being icon agent, getting all the awards, all the stuff that people aspire to do, why we changed and what that was all about. So first of all, if you are brand new here, welcome. I'm happy that you're here. I am Rosemary Lewis, your real estate bestie. I am a former educator. I was an elementary school teacher for 14 years, transitioned to real estate, and it was hard. It was hard, but I've been able to build a great business. And as a result, I just want to pour back particularly into women in real estate to help you build wonderful businesses, but not sacrificing your family or your faith while you're doing it. And one thing that comes up often is, where should you hang your license? What broker should you be with? And I'm going to break down for you exactly why I switched, right? If you go back to podcast number 210, I talked more about exactly what you need to do no matter what brokerage you split with, but I will just speak specifically to my experience and why I chose one over the other. So let's just hop right into it. So first things first, I love a cloud-based model for a brokerage. I love that for myself. I don't love cloud-based for everyone, and I will talk a little bit more in a little bit about who I don't love it for and under what circumstances. Now, again, this is my opinion. So if you feel like something is right for you, I want you to use, your good common sense, your discernment, and do what's right for you. But I am not always a fan of a cloud-based situation. But for me and for the way I run my business, I really like a cloud-based. So if you don't know what a cloud-based brokerage is, let me break it down for you. Because companies like eXp Real, I think like LPT, there's so many of them popping up. But quite honestly, eXp was the first pioneer, the first one that I was aware of. And let me tell you what that means. So when you are cloud-based, the brokerage does not actually have a physical office, not a brick and mortar. eXp would pin itself to be like the Netflix of real estate. So I don't know how versed you are. Like if you remember back in the day going to Blockbuster on Friday night to go and get movies, to rent your cassette tapes. Well, obviously that is not the life that we're living anymore. You can just get Netflix and get any movie delivered to you. And eXp saw that, like they were pioneers in seeing that, most agents don't show up in the office. Like as a matter of fact, I'm in the office right now. My agent's not here. I digress. But most agents don't come into the office, and we see like a lot of these antiquated ways of doing business. I hope I said that word right. But these old ways of doing business, they wanted to be pioneers, and they created what was pretty much a cloud-based model. And with the cloud-based model, you literally do not have to leave your home. You can have a home office, you can meet clients anywhere, but all of your training, all of your broker support, all of these things are accessible to you right through whatever cloud platform that you are using. And I like that, okay? I like that for a multitude of reasons. But one of the big reasons is that with these cloud-based brokerages, you have what have become national brands, right? They are in multiple states and in some cases all over the world. So I just really love that from a collaborative standpoint. And I will tell you that when I first considered going to a cloud-based brokerage or leaving my brokerage to go to a different one, I knew it had to be cloud-based, and it actually had to make sense. And initially, when Real came across my desk and I looked at it a couple years ago, and I was just honestly kind of like, it really, like the numbers at the time, like I didn't dig really deep into it. And it seemed so similar where I was like, I just don't know why I would rock the boat, and I stayed where I was. But as time goes on and I got to understand the model a little bit better, it just made more sense for me. So let's start with that. That's number one. The first reason that I decided to switch from eXp to Real is that the model is improved, okay? Now, eXp is one of the first companies that came out with things that we had never heard before. Like, not only could an agent get paid by commission, but you got paid through revenue share, meaning that if you brought another agent into the company, then you could get income. There were stock options, so the agents were actually owners. So, we actually saw an end to just being in production and on a hamster wheel. They created different streams of income for agents. And like even Real's owners, Real's CEO, they acknowledged the fact that eXp was a pioneer in this space. But just like anything, right? Like, what is the thing? Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. But sometimes, like we all are not still driving Fords. Like, Ford was the first car, like they invented the first cars, but the model has been improved upon, and that is exactly what made sense for me for Real. So in short, I'll tell you a couple of things, but like I'm not going to get all into the nitty gritty of the numbers because I don't want to, honestly, I don't want to mess it up. I just came to Real the day before yesterday in real life. But the model has been improved. And if you want to get like a straight up sheet, like I have a little one sheet with all of the links that I looked at. Plus, if you're interested in joining, you can go to rosemarylewis.com/real broker. And you can look at all the numbers to break it down. But I will tell you a little bit. So number one, the cap is a little bit lower, right? In terms of how much money you bring home per transaction and overall what you pay into the company. At eXp, the cap was 80-20, and with Real, it's 85-15. So meaning that as an agent, you bring home 85% of the commission and the company keeps 15. The overall cap that you pay into the company is actually a little bit lower. At eXp, it was $16,000. At Real Broker, it was $4,000. And then I saw differences like that, throughout their entire modeling process, right? So with their revenue share, the revenue share that you take home initially, and remember, revenue share is when you tell other people about the company and they decide to come. Just the way that Real formatted it, when I looked at it side by side, I could see where there was more income earning potential within the company. So the numbers just actually made more sense. Another thing that I had to think about, because if I'm going to be very, very honest, and this was like my thought process in the beginning, right? When you are an agent and you are producing and you produce high volume, right? And that's literally the boat that I was in, right? So whether I paid the company, 14,000 or 12,000 or 16,000, or, if I took home 80% or 85%, I felt like it was tomato because of the level at which I was producing. It really all evened out. But when I took a deeper look, Real definitely had an edge. But when you're thinking future, right, you're thinking long term for your business, I also, like when I first came to eXp, I was actually a part of a team, and then I stayed when I was a solo agent. But now me as a team leader, I had to look at the numbers a little more closely because is this the best case scenario in terms of what my team will bring home? And this was a big one for me because, when my team members are bringing more of their commissions home, then it just makes for a better work environment, and we're going to be able to service our clients better, but without lacking the resources, right? So the model, the numbers part of the model just made more sense. And then the technology part. One thing that I liked about Real is that we literally have this one app called Resin, and everything that you need to operate your business from, it comes from that app, okay? So I just see how innovative the technology piece is, and that's something that was really attractive to me. And if you want to hear something real funny, Real was actually off my radar. I was really thinking to myself, like, no, I'm just going to be at eXp. It's going to be fine. But this past eXpCon, that's the national convention that eXp has, I noticed that from the stage, there was so much conversation. And let me back up. I didn't go to eXpCon, but and that's a whole nother thing. Like I hadn't been in a couple years. Like there were so many things with the company and I really couldn't put my finger on it, but I just wasn't as engaged in the culture. And I was thinking that it was just because, I'm busy, blah, blah, whatever. But I remember a time where like come hella high water, and that's on me. Like I would be in the room and I have to be honest with myself, like, Rosemary, why are you not just really, really trying hard to be in the rooms, in those rooms anymore? I believe in being in the right rooms, but that room, I don't know, I just didn't have that same passion and excitement about being there. And it could just be because I'd been there for so long that I was just losing out a little bit of my zeal for the company. But the interesting thing is that when I saw all of the things from the stage and the announcements that were coming out, it was very apparent to me that eXp was adjusting some of the things that they kind of criticized Real for in the beginning. We were now adjusting our model to compete with that. Honestly, like literally, that's what really like got my attention. And I was like, if our CEO and if our founders are, making references to Real from the stage, if they are, changing some of the way rev share is done, if they're offering different things like co-sponsorship that I'll get into later, if they are taking notice and adjusting, what am I missing? And that made me dig into it a little bit deeper. So that's number one. Like the model, in my opinion, is just improved upon, and I want to be a part of that. Okay, number two, why did I leave eXp for Real? And I just kind of got onto this one, and I'm going to go a little bit deeper. It's the people and the culture. Now, I want to say 100%, I did not have a negative experience with eXp. I'm going to say that again. I may say it real slow for the people in the back. Did not have a negative experience. As a matter of fact, I developed some really solid relationships from eXp that I pray will continue no matter what brokerage anybody is with. But I never really drank the Kool-Aid, if that makes sense. And I don't know, I can't put my finger on it, but it was something that I never really immersed myself into eXp's culture. And not that it wasn't welcoming, but you just know how sometimes you get a feeling for who your people are and like what's your vibe. And there was just something slightly off there for me. Now, I will say, and I said it in my last video, I absolutely love our broker at eXp. But outside of that, like, I just was not extremely, I was just kind of about the company, right? I was like, it works for me. If anyone asks me, like, do you love being at eXp? And probably, like, if I'm going to be, like, keep it 100, when I joined eXp, it was at a time where, like, you had so many eXp agents that were vultures when it came down to like trying to build that rev share. And it just felt like they wanted people to be a number, to the fact that I remember, if I was calling somebody on a listing, like let's just say you had a listing and I was giving you a call just because like I may have questions on the price, or I might have, questions about access if the access wasn't there. I would call someone, I would say, hey, it's Rosemary from eXp. Literally, the listing agent would be like, I'm not interested in joining your company, bye. And I'm like, actually, girl, I wasn't calling you about that. I was calling you because I actually want to like sell your listing. But there was a stigma around it, and I'm not blaming the company, but it just kind of was there. And I think that a little bit, it kind of made me fall back, and take it for however you want to take it. If you wouldn't have failed back or not, it's just something about it. I just never really bought into the culture. On the flip side, like Real's culture, let me tell you something. I have just joined this company within a couple of weeks, and already the way that I was embraced, it has made all the difference in the world. And I am just really excited about being here. Now, I do want to point out that when I joined eXp, I really didn't have it's not that I didn't have a choice. I was a part of a team, and that team went to eXp. So it's not like I researched the company and decided that I would be there. But once I was there, it worked for me. So now that I have a little bit more discernment, now that I know how I want to run my business, now that I know who I want to be in partnership with, having that discernment, Real just feels right for me, right? Even their motto, I'm like, I'm gonna mess it up. It's like hustle hard, but be kind, or something like that. Like, if that ain't Real Estate Bestie-ish, I don't know what is. And from me just switching over to, everybody that I've been in contact with, I just feel that energy. And I've had tons of friends from all different brokerages, people that I have met from all over the country. Like, I just started to notice who was moving over to Real, and a lot of the way that they run their business, their character values. I was like, I really want to pay attention to who's going over, because this is matching my vibe. And just from the people aspect already, it has been a big game changer. And this is one thing that I think Real has had an opportunity, like, again, because it's an approved upon model, they have had an opportunity to see some of the holes, right, that, that eXp had, and they're able to plug it. And one of those things is that, like with eXp, is so important on like who is in your upline. And really, your upline scenario can make or break your experience in the company from a collaborative state. And Real, they do not advocate for like those silo type groups where like, I'm a part of the ABC group, or I'm a part of the Texas Titans group, or whatever it is. Like, it's such a collaborative culture that, again, I fully understand, and I fully think that they were able to see where that did not go wrong and where that was off-putting for a lot of eXp agents. And because of that, the culture of the way Real does things, like no matter what company you're with, or who brought you into the company, like, you are invited to all the trainings. There are no like different trainings. There are no different events. Like, everything is for everybody. And I just see such a pride in the leadership and in the agents there. And I do want to talk about the leadership too, just from what I've seen from the CEO and from the founder. And I've been watching, for a while. I just feel like it's in alignment with who I am and where I am going in business. And it just feels right. Like, it just felt like such a big shift already. Okay, and then here's the final reason that I left eXp for Real. And this may shock you, but I left because of you, bestie. Let me explain. One thing, and I'll go back to a point that I made earlier. A point that I made earlier is that I do not always like cloud-based brokerages for everyone. In particular, I am not a huge fan of cloud-based brokerages for brand new agents, because let's just be honest, when you are in real estate anyway, you can feel like you are lost in the sauce, because there is just such a learning curve of this becoming your business and not being a hustle and being a business owner and, lead generation and all of these different things. And I feel like when you are only a part of a cloud-based situation, it can be very easy to lose motivation, to not have that collaborative effect that you may have in an office. And this is just me being completely honest. I prefer cloud-based brokerages in the way that I came to a cloud-based brokerage, which was I was a part of a team. I was a part of a larger organization. And when I say like not like a silo team, like I was a part of a local real estate team that happened to be with eXp. So a lot of the learning curve that I got in the beginning came from me being a part of that team scenario. So that way, anything that I may have been missing because of the cloud-based, and let me just say this, most cloud-based brokerages, they have all of the trainings and everything, but y'all know how it is. When something is easily accessible to you, sometimes we don't always access it. Or like, where am I gonna go to really meet a real life real estate bestie? And I just find that it is a little bit more difficult when newer agents are joining these cloud-based things. However, one thing that I do like about Real, and this is where you come in, I would get besties all the time that would be reaching out to me about eXp. And with our real estate bestie community, I am so like, I am not gonna be a gatekeeper, any and everything, right? But I could not confidently encourage, if I'm in Texas, I'm in Dallas, if there was a bestie in, Omaha or Atlanta or wherever, like, y'all want to join eXp under me. Up until recently, like, I just felt like, I don't know what the brokerage situation is. And, in your state, because every state runs a little differently. Every state has different laws. Like, even if I was your sponsor, there just might be things that I can tell you about generally, how to buy a house or sell a house or how to run your business. But like the state specific things and rules, I just felt like my hands were tied. And I just did not, I was always so hesitant for someone who wanted to join because I really couldn't speak for what your experience would be. And with Real Broker, they pioneered what we call co-sponsorship. So this is what that looks like, and it just literally happened to me. Let's say you're watching this and you're like, Rosemary, I clicked on the link you said before. I'm really interested in Real Broker. I want you to be my sponsor. Well, previously, I struggled with that, right? Because what happens if you're in California and you have a contract question and me as your sponsor, like the level of support, I just, it just kind of had my hands tied a little bit. But because of co-sponsorship, instead of me like telling you to go to some, random boutique brokerage that I also don't know anything about, it gives me an opportunity to partner with another Real Broker agent in your area. And now you have two people who can support you, right? You learned about it from me, but now I'm going to give you some boots on the ground that, if nothing else, just can help you with the onboarding process. Like, I have been in real estate for almost 10 years, and the onboarding process 1,000,000% would have taken me out if I did not have my sponsor to just really show me the ropes, because it was just tedious, like, stuff that I needed to do. And having those boots on the ground, it was the big game changer. And I feel so passionately about the Real Estate Bestie community that if you all wanted to know more about, the brokerage that I'm at or anything like that, I wanted to be in a space where I felt I had more freedom to collaborate, right, with another Real Estate Bestie in another area where we can work together to help you be successful. And let me tell you, this actually happened for me. So I, again, kind of been looking at Real from a distance for a while, and there is a young lady, Lana Rodriguez. I met her. We were both speaking at an event, and this is another, like, Lana never ever pressure me about joining Real. Honestly, I just knew where she was, right? She never ever is work hard, be kind. That's the logo. I'm thinking of a shirt Lana wears, work hard, be kind. So anywho, when I was curious about Real, I reached out to Lana, started having conversations with her. She broke down exactly the motto. I felt very comfortable and confident. But listen, at the last minute, one of my real life real estate besties in my market moved over to Real. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that this was on her radar. Would love the opportunity to work with her, right? For us to be, closely aligned and just build a beautiful business together. And when I told Lana, like, I was expecting a little pushback. I was expecting a little like, oh, I'm about to start a little fight, because really Lana is the one who, helped me to get to like 80% of the decision. But then when my other friend joined, that was like the other push that I needed. Let me tell you something. Both of those ladies could not have been more thrilled. When I reached out to Lana and I told her, like, hey, such and such just joined, I want to be co-sponsors, she was thrilled. When I told my friend, I told her, like, oh, I'm looking at Real too. I'm looking at it with such and such. When I called her and I told her that, I was going to co-sponsor and she was going to be my sponsor, she was like, okay, great. Did you talk that through with Lana? And you know what? Because both of them responded that way, you know what that tells me? It tells me that it comes from the top, right? If you want to know like more about how somebody, like how the head of a company is, look at the culture of the people that are working in the company. And that was all I needed. Like, they both have been so supportive with helping me, a seasoned person, get through it. And the way that they have worked together, and they didn't even know each other, by the way. They became Facebook friends, collaborators, and that is all like what I am about, like collaboration over competition. And I'm gonna tell you something, it just feels really, really good. So that's why I switched from eXp to Real. Now, I do want to say this, like just real talk, right? Is that like if you're making a broker decision, I literally was talking to a young lady who used to be under me with eXp, and she's trying to decide, what she's going to do. And I told her, like, no hard feelings. Whatever you decide, I want you to make a great decision for you. And literally, this is my mindset with most things. And most people are scared to make a change or scared to take a risk. I'm like, worst case scenario, if it don't work out, you leave where you are on good terms and you can go back, right? I really do feel really great about this collaboration with Real Broker. But I know that I'm not married to the broker, right? This is one thing that I want you to make very clear, is that I'm not going to this brokerage thinking that the broker is going to make my business. But I do know, like, I feel right now that it is the best shift for business, and it is going to add to what we're already doing. but my group, like RL Realty Group, that's our group in Texas, like we are the brand. We are the besties. We are the ones that our clients resonate with. So I don't care whose license I hang next to my name. And technically I am a broker. So if I just decide that I want to be my own broker at some point, that will work. But don't be afraid to make a shift, especially, if it feels right. And I literally was like, for the longest, like, yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Don't have that mindset. Like every year, take yourself through a thing to see if you are in the best place for innovation. Are the numbers the best? Is the collaboration and culture exactly where you want it to be? And if not, open yourself up to the possibility. So again, if you want to get that sheet where you can like go a little bit deeper on the eXp, or not the eXp, what actually like all the detailed stuff that I'm not going to remember about Real Broker, go to rosemarylewis.com/real broker. I'll put it in the description box. And how about you do this? In the comments, go in comments and tell me right now exactly what broker are you at and what led you there. Like what's something that you love about your broker? Because yes, this video is about eXp and Real, but guess what? Those aren't the only two brokerages in the world. There may be another broker that a bestie who's reading the comments needs to know about, and I want you to tell them about it in the comments, okay? I'll talk to you later. Hope this was helpful. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode and you have a real life bestie that you think it would resonate with, y'all, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that share button because you know what? We are better together. Make sure you share the podcast, and I appreciate your reviews. I appreciate you giving me 5 stars more than you know. I'll talk to you next week.